It's recording, so you could get out the shot. Up, you're good. And then a few things I just want you to make sure. I mean, it's recording already, but I want you to make sure. Do I look dark? I shouldn't look dark.
No, you look light skin.
All right, we can start.
Start. What's your name?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Tristan Cox, and I am the K-12 Social Studies Supervisor in the Plainfield Public School System.
Can you tell us about your background in education?
So yes, I have 14 years experience in education. I taught for 11 years, and during my time as a teacher, I went back to school. Well, first of all, excuse me, let me take a few steps back. When I was at Rutgers University, I studied African American history and history as my major. I went to a 5-year master's program. I just continued at Rutgers and got my master's in social studies education. I started teaching. And after I started teaching, I went on to get my master's in educational leadership to become an administrator. And I did that. And then honestly, when I was in that coursework, I was given the opportunity to continue my studies to get my doctorate. And I decided to continue and get my doctorate in educational leadership. And also at that time, I transitioned from being in the classroom to being a district level supervisor. So I managed the social studies K-12 happenings in the Plainfield Public School District.
What is your role within the district?
So I kind of touched on it, but K-12 Social Studies Supervisor, and what that encompasses is curriculum, programming, trips, events, marketing, anything and everything that's related to social studies. And then I also have administrative responsibilities, sometimes like covering school buildings, facilitating initiatives and things of that nature.
In your opinion, what are the top 3 qualities or traits that make a teacher effective?
The first, without a doubt, the first trait, like if I could create my perfect teacher, the first trait is relatability to students. So it's not what you teach, but who you are as a human. And to me, that's deeply important because at the end of the day, we are humans interacting with each other. So you need to be able to successfully navigate the challenges that, your students face and be able to assist them with their challenges. That's step one. Step two is I would say that, you need to be curious about, what it is that you teach, curious about how you approach your students in a professional sense. And the last trait that I would say is that, you have to accept the ups and downs of education. Teaching could be a demanding job, but at the end of the day, people who work in education, we have this innate trait that we want to be here. We want to work in education. We're not doing this for money. Yes, obviously, folks need to, pay their bills and keep, stay above float and all of that. But people who work in education, they want to work in education. So you have to have that innately inside you. And if you don't, you probably won't last long in education.
How important do you think it is for teachers to differentiate instruction to meet the diverse needs of students? Please explain.
Good question. So differentiation is important, right? Our job as teachers is to meet the needs of all of our kids. Let's say I have 30 students in a classroom. Let's say 15 of those kids are high performing. They accomplish their work very easily. And then let's say maybe 5 to 7 of those kids are what I would say middle of the road where they need a little bit of help. So what I would do is modify assignments so that those kids can be successful, build up their confidence and their self-esteem. And in my low performing students, or the lowest of the group, not to be demeaning, but just in terms of skill, I would modify even lower so that they can build their confidence and be successful, the students can be successful when they complete their work. At the end of the day, our job is to educate everyone, especially in public education. That's why differentiation is so important.
Okay. What strategies do effective teachers employ to create a positive, productive learning environment in the classroom?
Absolutely, and always checking in with your kids to see how they're doing. If that could be a part of every day, maybe that's a bit much, but at least a week. Me personally, when I was in the classroom, I used to do a SEL, do SEL, which stands for Social Emotional Learning, do now on Mondays, and I would ask the kids a few questions. Every Monday, the same thing. What's up? How you doing? How was your weekend? Anything good or bad happened this weekend? What did you do? And if you want to share something, let us know. And what that did is that gave me an opportunity to check in with kids to see how they were doing. You know, I've had kids who say, you know, I lost a family member this weekend, or, you know, I got into a fight with a parent or a sibling. And what that tells me is, you know, as a teacher, you need to know when to push your kids and when to like scale back a little bit. So if a kid had a rough weekend and they're struggling navigating some emotions, I'm not gonna push them in an academic sense. You know, I may not give them a day off, but I just know as a person, I may need to like step it back a little bit before, you know, pushing them to move forward.
In what ways do effective teachers collaborate with colleagues and communicate with parents to support student learning?
So parents, first of all, parents, effective teachers get parents on the phone, you know, talk to them. They're, you know, just to keep them abreast. One of the tricks that I used to do is usually when you get a call home, it's something negative. But at the beginning of the school year, I would always call every parent and just say one thing positive. Like, you know, like this person did a do now, or this student had an awesome day in class today. And what that does is that builds a rapport with parents so that when you have to call them when it's something negative, they are accepting of your feedback and they're more than likely willing to help you address the behavior. And then teachers, I think the one thing that's weird about education is it's done in silos. You teach in silos. You're like, this is how I do things in my classroom, and that suffices. But I think it's not a downfall, but I wish teachers were more open to sharing, because you know Ms. Shaw may do one thing that's great, Mr. Michelucci may do another thing that's great, Dr. Cox may do another thing that's great, and if you pick up those strong traits for each teacher, now your toolbox is like this wide. So collaborating and just being open to feedback and open to like new ideas, I would say is like the best trait for a teacher in terms of improvement.
Do you encourage teachers to engage in reflective practice? If so, how does this contribute to their effectiveness?
So yes, first of all, for our observation process using the Danielson model, you know, when we observe a teacher, we give them feedback. You know, we may say, hey, check out this link for this tool or resource that you could use in your class, and think about, you know, how you could use it to make it better. For an example, yesterday, we hosted a professional development at the district level, and I shared a strategy, Edpuzzle, like a lot of history teachers and teachers for most teachers in this day and age use videos. But a problem is teachers don't use CFUs, check for understandings, and have questions to coincide with the videos. But this program, Edpuzzle, it basically allows you to put questions periodically through the video, so it automatically stops, let's say at 2 minutes, and say, oh, you know, who was this character, or what was the perspective or point of view? You can edit the questions how you want, but it's a nice way to like put some CFUs in a video that you show in class.
Without naming any specific individuals, could you describe a teacher from your department whom you consider to be exemplary in terms of effectiveness? What specific qualities or practices make this teacher stand out to you?
So another aspect that I didn't highlight yet on effective teachers are teachers who design and take effort to decorate their classrooms. When students walk into a classroom, it needs to look like a classroom. You know, when as an administrator, when I go into a classroom, I want to see that, oh, it's a science room, or it's a history room, or things of that nature. You know, it should be designed with student work. Stop and say that again. Classrooms should be designed with student work, anchor charts. If it's history class, maybe some maps, some posters of historical figures, and things of that nature. And what that does is it speaks to the environment of which students are learning. And without saying names, I have a few teachers in the department, but one in particular who prides himself in decorating his classroom, and it is absolutely amazing. You know, when you walk in, you know that it's a history classroom. He has all of the attributes and things of that nature, and it just feels like a positive learning environment just as soon as you walk through the door. So that's another thing that's not talked about as much, but how teachers design their classrooms, which makes their classroom welcoming to students so that, you know, the learning environment is positive.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hit the record button. Stop it.
This room?
Yep.